coming up right now is Destination Germany. We're taking you on a journey somewhere in the country that is well worth a visit, whether you're a tourist or a permanent resident, a foreigner or a German citizen. We'll be covering the famous sites as well as those little-known corners of Deutschland. All that matters is showing you that Germany is an interesting and exciting place to visit. And if you enjoyed the destinations that we talk about each week, check out our website, thisweekingermany.de, and we'll have photos of each week's destination.
And if you missed last week's Destination Germany, we talked about the East Frisian Islands. There are lots of reasons to visit these islands, but one of the most interesting is that during low tide, the water leaves an area between the mainland and the islands, which allows the visitors the opportunity to go on a guided tour and actually walk between the mainland and the islands. That's pretty cool. Also, the islands are known for holding on to their rural roots. Bring your walking shoes as there are no cars on many of these islands. But as for this week, what are we going to see, Rob?
It could be a little bit of a stretch, but we're going to another island. This island is a German state completely surrounded by another German state. I'll give you a hint, it's not Bremen. Okay, you can probably guess that our destination this week is in the state of Berlin. And more specifically, we're going to look at Berlin's largest wooded area. And before you shout out, the Tiergarten! Our green Berlin destination is much larger than that. It's Grünewald, the green forest.
As someone who lives in Berlin, this area is not completely unknown to me, but I bet it is for many that don't live here. They might think of the Tiergarten and the city centre parks and woods before they think of Grünewald. So maybe you could tell us where this place is compared to the Berlin that everyone knows.
The state of Berlin is broken up into 12 different districts. The district that most people think of when they think of Berlin is Mitte. That's pretty much right in the middle of the state. If you travel a little way southwest of the center, you'll reach the Berlin district of Charlottenburg-Wilmersdorf. One of the 6 localities in this area is Grunewald. Getting there isn't hard. From the central train station in Berlin, it's only about a 30-minute train ride.
So now we know where it is. Why is Grunewald our destination of this week? What can one expect from a visit there?
The reason I chose it was because, probably like many, when I thought of Berlin Park and Forest Land, I thought of the Tiergarten, and I thought it to be pretty large. But to put Grunewald in perspective, the Tiergarten is just over 200 hectares, while Grunewald is about 3,000 hectares. There is plenty to see and do here, especially if you like walking and hiking in the forest. There's a good mix of areas to take leisurely and scenic strolls through, and more intense and strenuous hikes. One of the treks that can really get your blood flowing is going from Track 17 at the Grunewald train station to the nature preserve at Okowerk. From there, a trip up Teufelsberg.
So that sounds pretty specific, and I assume there's some interesting things along the way. Why would one want to take that specific hike?
Well, Track 17 at the Grunewald station is actually a built-in memorial to 50,000 Jews who were deported to concentration camps between 1941 and 1945. The track that you walk along marks the times and destinations of these different trains. It's kind of like walking on a large outdoor timeline. After walking along the memorial, you can start towards the nature preserve center called Okowerk. This area is filled with gardens, wildflower patches, orchards, beehives, ponds, and is right on the Teufel Sea. If you go on a weekend, there's an outdoor cafe to stop and have a snack. If you feel adventurous, you can climb the steep hill to Teufelsberg. This is a Cold War listening post operated by the Americans to spy on the East Germans and their communications.
As this is a large forested area, I assume there are other places to walk or hike as well.
Yeah, there are quite a few different trails and outdoor destinations that you can find in Grunewald. I can't mention them all, but I will point out a couple of exciting ones that you might want to see. There's a huge sandpit called the Sandgrube. Grube. This was made when sand was being collected to help build the city during the late 60s to early 80s. Kids love rolling around and sliding down these sandy slopes. The Grunewald Tower is on a hill right along the River Havel. And other than getting a great view of the river going through this wooded area, on clear days, you can also get a great view of the Potsdam area in Berlin.
When should one go to Grunewald? Should visitors try and make it for a specific time? Is one time as good as another, or how is it?
It's hard to say when the best time would be because something seems to always be going on during every season. In the winter, there are the winter and Christmas markets in December, there's spring festivals, summer events, and the leaves in the fall are really worth seeing. It's pretty accessible, so my plan is to try and take some time on a Saturday to visit this area in each season.